In the political world, one of the things that has always frustrated me is people very rarely engage on what you're actually saying, what your real position is. The much easier thing to do and the hacky thing to do, and the thing that's way more prevalent, is people like to straw man you and then knock down the straw man. We've all experienced it. I'm sure if you're watching this video, you've been involved in political circles in one way or another, and you know what it's like to make a point, have the point totally disregarded, and somebody pretends you believe X and then slaps down X. It's dishonest, it's disingenuous, it's a waste of time, it's stupid, and nobody should engage in it. Believe me, it is much more fun and interesting and entertaining and informative and educational if you actually listen to somebody's real argument and then respond to it, or not, or agree with it, right? Like, that's honest dialogue is way better. Okay, so I say that to say this. Fox News, they're the kings of, the left believes X. Fill in X with literally nothing the left believes in or advocates for. Well, this is a rare instance where the person talking is so immensely dumb that they're going to go after the left, think they're making a devastating point against the left, but really, they just perfectly described what the left is actually trying to do, and it's a good thing. Okay, let's listen. Rachel Campos Duffy on Fox News. This is precious.
It's so easy to characterize faith as constraining and limiting to you, but when you actually, it is entirely liberating, and it creates a sense of freedom that it's not all on you. I can't, right. I'm not perfect. I don't act perfectly, and I can't perfect other people. It's an amazing...
It changes the way you look even at politics. So
sure, yes.
It truly does. And sometimes, you know, we look at how hard on the left they play. They really play for keeps. They play in a way that's very, you know, a lot of times conservatives look at it and go, well, why don't we play as hard as them? Well, for them, where we live right now, this place, Earth, is it. So everything's on the line here for them. They think, as you said, they can perfect this Earth.
The left thinks everything on this Earth is it. So they try to perfect this Earth. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Now, look, I'll add the little caveat of, I don't think a utopia is possible. I don't. I don't think you'll ever perfect everything, because you have to contend with imperfect human beings. We're all imperfect. We're all flawed. There are aspects of human nature that are inevitably going to get in the way of creating a flawless society. That's a given. That's a given. But we can't reach utopia, but we certainly can reach almost utopia. We certainly should try to perfect things as much as humanly possible, because that's what we call improvement. That's what we call progression. That's what we call what we've been trying to do since the dawn of man. You go back and look at the old school systems. We had, you know, vicious little hunter-gatherer tribes. We had feudalism. We had monarchies and kingdoms. And slowly but surely we progressed over time and eventually came up with some semblance of a democracy, however imperfect it is. Came up with some semblance of checks and balances on power. These various power-sharing agreements, right? It's been an attempt to try to create a better system year after year after year, even though you're up against all sorts of nefarious forces like corruption and those who don't want society to progress because they're currently in the best situation imaginable at other people's expense, right? But of course, what she described is accurate. Yeah, a lot on the left. I mean, there are plenty of religious people on the left, but many on the left think, hey, as far as we know, this is all we're going to get, right? So might as well try to make it a good ride. Fair enough, lady. Fair enough.
Well, for them, where we live right now, this place, Earth, is it. So everything's on the line here for them. They think, as you said, they can perfect this Earth. Those of us who have faith don't believe that, and we believe how we act here determines where we go after. And so we had to behave.
She's embracing the dumbest argument imaginable. Hey, us religious people say, we're just trying to get into heaven, bro. So what happens here? Bam! What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You just focus on trying to get your own ass into heaven. Ignore everything else going on around. You get into heaven. That is not a good rallying cry, bro. That is not a good way to get people on your own side. Let's actively not try to make things better here. Okay.
Even in politics, we don't you know, we act within those moral limits. And, you know, the ends justify the means is sort of the rules for radicals, right? That's not how Christians act.
Actually, I'd argue the ends justify the means is exactly how fundamentalist Christians act, and it's exactly how the far right acts. It's why, in the name of fighting wokeness, what they view as left authoritarianism, Ron DeSantis goes authoritarian on the right with the Stop Woke Act. Parts of it were slapped down for being unconstitutional and authoritarian. So you tell me who's doing the ends justify the means. You can definitely have people on the left or the right doing ends justify the means authoritarianism where they don't believe in civil liberties or the proper process. That can happen on either side, but she's trying to make it seem like, well, the right never does that and the left does it all the time. Please.
I mean, we're made for religion. So if you don't have a faith, whether it's Hindu, Islam, Christianity, you're going to create one, and it could be climate or it could be yourself.
And our system, as our founders repeatedly said, was made for a religious people.
Our founders were the ones who gave us separation of church and state. That was our founders. They didn't want religion in public life. But look, even to the point that, hey, people are made for religion. So either you're going to have the healthy religion, which in her mind is Christianity, or you're going to create some other religion. Wrong. No. Look, they certainly need community. You don't need to get that through a religion. You don't need to organize around a cult that believes all sorts of factually untrue things in order to get community. You can get community in 1,000 different ways. You can get community from playing in a sports league, from having a hobby that you care a lot about and are surrounded by other people who like that hobby as well, from family, right? So yes, people definitely need community and they need fulfillment and meaning, but the meaning does not at all have to be religious. In fact, I would argue religious meaning is a lot less fruitful. Why? Because it's not true. It's arbitrary. There's over 4,000 religions in the world. Are you really going to believe that I happen to be born into the right one? My grandmother and my mom and my dad, they happen to have the right religion, even though there's 3,999 others where other people swear they're the ones that got the right one. You don't need to pretend to have answers you don't have about the nature of reality in order to feel community, in order to feel meaning and purpose. Those are the things that matter. Community, meaning, purpose, these things matter, but you can get them in a secular way. There's no doubt about it. But the fact of the matter is, she's clearly saying, my conservatism and my Christianity leads me to believe the most important thing is getting it to heaven. So whatever's happening on this earth, I'm not going to try to perfect it. I'm not going to try to improve it. That's what the left does. Guilty as charged, lady. Guilty as charged. I want to try to make this world a better place. Other people on the left want to try to make this world a better place. When we see 45,000 people dying every year because they don't have basic health care, that's a problem I want to fix. I don't want to leave it to Jesus. I don't want to say, oh, you don't have health care now? Don't worry, maybe you'll get into heaven. You might have health care there. I don't want to do that. I don't want to live in a system where it's record income and wealth inequality worse than that of the Gilded Age. I don't want to live in that system. Well, look, like I said, it's rare that they make an argument that accurately portrays the opposite side. It's rare that they do that, but here you go. This is that. And I'm totally cool with that. I just don't think the conclusions she reaches based on these points are the correct conclusions. In fact, I think they're kind of really recruiting people more to the left than she realizes. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.